Alright everyone, welcome back. So, last time we killed Dore the Explorer, and now we're going to go head towards doing the Ankh side quest. However, as well as the Ankh, we're just going to go ahead and do another side quest, that is killing the general. Because you actually don't get that quest yet, but a lot of the quests can be completed without having to have the main event thing, or the main trigger for the event occurring, as long as you're within the area. Which is something I think they did on purpose, so that way you could do like I did in Act 2 and group a lot of quests together without having to go back if you knew the route. Otherwise you just have to kind of go back and pick them up at that time. Let's see here. I actually I'm still doing that habit of mine of just killing everything. I think it's something that a lot of gamers have, and I think that people who play this game after a while tend to not do it, because you just want to kill a large majority of them and then move on to the next place, because you just want to kill the most and then move on to the next one, and it'll increase the likelihood of drops in general. It's all about efficiency, and as long as you kill most of them in the first couple swings, you then move on to the next group like that, and then you like do that, and it's like, oh, that one killed nothing, so you have to come back for that one for a second swing. But you wouldn't come back and kill that group like I just did now, because it's just not as, because you have to go back and interrupt your moving. Which is why I think most of the time people try to build builds for high amounts of damage that instantly kill things, as opposed to builds that go ahead and are able to tank things, because they want to kill it, move on, and usually they can outkill their death rate. By the way, if you're wondering, for that particular quest item, it's usually on the edges of the maps, so like it would be like for this time it was here, but this is why I was going around these edges in particular, because it does appear in the edges. That's what you need for this side quest that we're doing, which is she supposedly brought back, or she's trying to bring back Tolman, her dead lover. There's a whole storyline to that. We basically had, or he was tortured to death in Act 3 because of piety. And if you're interested in that story, you can go ahead and like read it or watch a video on it. Even show some people who do videos on these things, because I mean, one of the people I used to watch who has now gotten really popular because of Dark Souls itself got popular was Vasdia, I think it is. And when I was initially watching him, he only had like 20k people, which I know it's like that's not considered popular. It's like 100,000 more, I think, would be the popular range. There's like the major popular would be like 1 million or more. Anyways, he grew to like 100,000 in this, and this was just based off the Souls community. And that's because Souls became more popular in general, but yeah, he was big into the lore things, just did videos on the lore and just on a little bit of gameplay of Dark Souls. And then there's another person I watched who's become more popular. I watched him since he had like 1,000, I think, and it was Epic Name Bro. He is, well, he was, I think he is, I don't know if he still is living in Japan, but at the time he was living in Japan, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong about time frames, but he was, and he just did videos on it. And he switched into a full-timer after a little while, getting, you know, well known. Because I think he was probably teaching? I don't know. I assume he was. Most people, Americans who go over to Japan, are there as teachers. But I mean, there are other things you can do. You can get into other jobs if you get a certificate, I think, for N1. I think it is. It's called N1. I don't remember if it's reverse or in, like, I think N5 is actually the lowest, and N1 is actually the most, means that you're the most experienced with it. And so, I believe, you know, if you have like an N1, you can work in any Japanese business. Although a lot of times they still do prefer, in actual businesses, to hire Japanese people, and that's because some of the, even if you are N1, that means you can like usually read newspapers. But there are other things like cultural differences, or maybe there's certain things in the company that they don't want to, that they don't think a foreigner will be able to go with, or I don't know. There's lots of reasons, and that's just because of how difficult. But at least having an N1 will get your foot in the door, as opposed to when you have an official certificate saying, yes, I can, you know, I can read up to a newspaper level. Am I going the wrong way? I believe at the level I left at, it was considered, I think, N3. Although I never took a test for it. Goddamn clicking. I believe it was an N3 level. Although I'm out of practice, so a lot of stuff I had learned I do not have. I'm probably down to maybe N2. I think N1 is normally you can do hiragana and katakana, so I mean not N1, sorry, god, I forgot the reverse thing. And N3 probably close, or not an N5. I might be an N4. Maybe a little bit, maybe towards N3, but I don't know, I haven't practiced a lot. Although listening to the Japanese YouTubers has most definitely helped in that aspect. There's a lot of things that I used to, you know, I'm re-picking things up basically, to some degree. And I mentioned that I had actually gone to Japan before. I would like to sometime in my life visit other parts of Asia, but I've been to Japan once, and I think I was pretty much an N1 person at that time, or not N1, sorry, N5. I was like the lowest level entry, and it was kind of one of those situations where you sink or swim. I was the bare minimum requirement to be able to go to Japan with the teacher. And yeah, after coming out of there, I don't know, I got very into it and just kind of learned a lot very fast. And I was a swimmer. And I had gotten so used to talking in Japanese. I had actually to some degree forgotten, not English, I don't say forgotten English, but it's more like certain things I would say in Japanese as opposed to saying in English, just because I had a habit of being there. You could say it's just like kind of something, I was just like, oh, I need, you know, I was just in Japan and I was just speaking Japanese all the time, so. I mean, it wasn't like that at first. It took a little bit of, finagling. You're not all connected. If they were, it'd be really good. It'd be like, yes, but it was not. Anyways, yeah, no, it took a little bit of time to get used to it when I came back. Really do miss it though. I think about it quite often. It's funny because I think most people, they'd say, oh yeah, I like Japan, I've, you know, and they want to live there. And a lot of times they are just saying that because they haven't been there before. And then a lot of times they'll be like, well, it's a place, you know, you want to visit and not live in. Whereas I'm just like, you know, if I could, up in my family, or if I had, you know, enough money to transfer and live there, and I could, like, maybe I could get guaranteed a job, I'd probably go. I liked the almost everything about it. They were like a mix of, I think Japan is a good, if you want to get into Asia stuff, I think Japan is one of the good ones. I mean, they're a little bit, I guess you could consider weird, but they have another thing going for them, and that is that they are a blend between Asian thought and American thought. So they have a lot of things that they're similar to us, but at the same time they're most definitely different, and they're kind of unique in that way, but certain things are softer to approaching them. So they're unique to Asia, and they're most definitely not European style, but they're somewhere in between, and they have a good mix of thoughts and ideals, and I don't know, it was just nice. And I enjoyed that, and then I enjoyed, you know, I visited schools, and I I went to a just kind of a funny story. When I went to Japan, I was a little bit naughty at one of the we visited a village. It was called Gokayama, and basically it hadn't changed in the past 1,000 years. They were still doing straw roof housing and stuff like that. Well, you know, they have Shinto gates, and the Shinto gates are meant to ward off evil. And, you know, I was trying to mess around with my teacher. I was very close to her. It was a shame when she died and I couldn't keep in touch, but I was, you know, I felt she was, I don't know, she was kind of like family to me of some sort, and I'm sad that I never got informed until much later that she had passed away. I guess that's just because I wasn't part of the Japanese group. I did email her or message her before she passed away, died. You know, she was happy that I was still interested in Japan and Japanese culture. I think a lot of her students kind of stopped, you know. And this was a teacher who was one of the best. She had won many awards for teaching, and she was considered one of the best in the state, probably one of the best in the nation, at least when it came to teaching the language. She was funny, and, you know, I kind of miss her. I do think about her quite often. You know, she's someone who left a big impact on me. But enough of the soppy stuff. Anyways, so back to the story. I ended up going to the you know, right after the Shinto gate, and this teacher, I was like, you know, I was telling, you know, showing her like, teacher, right? And I didn't know it, but there was this little old lady, Japanese lady, passing by. And I went to touch the Shinto gate, and I started acting like I was being shocked and like I was being attacked or something. Something was killing me. The little lady freaked out and ran away and started pointing at me and calling me a demon. I was like, oh no, what did I do? You know, it was a joke, and I'm pretty sure she kind of realized this after a while. It's not like I was kicked out of the place or something like that. You know, it's just one of the things I did I probably shouldn't have. It was fun, though. And, you know, if any of you if anyone listens out there is Japanese, yeah, sorry. You know, hope she's okay. Man. It was a real experience. It also there's some other problems about going to Japan, that it ruins. Like, you go to Japan, you have sushi, and then you come back to America and you have sushi, and then you're like, I miss Japan. They're just a different style, cut, and quality to it. I mean, you can still get bad ones in Japan, but in general, it's like, I don't know. don't know. It's really different. I enjoyed it a lot more. Thank goodness I didn't have ramen in Japan. I know, it's like the one thing you think of fucking, I mean, pardon me. The one thing you'd think a foreigner would have in Japan is ramen. And what just happened that the year, no, the year before. The year before my group, Sensei, and I think my group was the largest that had ever gone, but she had taken the other group, and they all,
What's up?
What is it? Yeah. They all decided to have ramen like every night. So when we went, Sensei went up to us and said, "You can't have ramen every night." Well, we decided to have none at all, pretty much. So I never got to have ramen in Japan. I had sushi. I had sukiyaki. That's a good one. Sukiyaki's kind of like a hot pot, but not quite. It's got, you kind of griddle it in a pan, and there's some liquid, but nowhere near as much. In fact, a lot of it's absorbed into the food. And so it's kind of a shallow hot pot that's usually on the sweeter side. And anyways, what you do is you get a raw egg. That's right, a raw egg. And you crack it open. You stir it up. And you then take the food out of the hot griddle, fresh hot griddle, and you take it through the raw egg, and then you eat it as it is. I know, weird stuff, right? Especially for Americans, be like, raw egg. Why would you eat raw egg? Well, okay. I know the reason why we don't eat raw egg is because some don't. I mean, but you still, a lot of Americans have over easy egg, right? It's just as bad. But also in Japan, they process their eggs and handle them in such a way that you can eat raw egg. And in Japan, they also have, recently, it was somewhat recent, it being popular was to have a chicken sashimi. That's right, they ate raw chicken. That one they had a little more problems with, but not like raw egg. Raw egg they've been eating for a long time, and just how they process them has made it to where, like I said, they don't have any problems. So you can eat raw egg in Japan, and it's quite common for a lot of things. They have, oh man, I might as well just go to the bathhouse, so I'm gonna continue talking. They have a, what you call it? Give me a minute, I'm thinking. Take gohan? I don't know, it's a popular breakfast food they did, and I'll just explain it in English because that's easier to do. They take hot, fresh steamed rice, and then they put a well in it. Like, it has to be fresh, like super fresh, like not like just finished cooking. And then they take it and they put it in there. They open up a well in the middle, and then they crack a raw egg into the center, and then oftentimes they'll do a little bit of soy sauce or a little bit of something else, and then they mix it up. A popular thing to also put in there is to put in natto, which is fermented soybeans, which I had my first time in Japan, and I was actually fine with it, unlike my sister, who was like, natto is gross. You know what? You're gross. No. Anyways, so you mix it up like that, and it's kind of thick and goopy and stuff like that. I don't know, I haven't tried it, but you know, it's just another instance of them eating raw egg, besides sukiyaki. another thing that I actually never got to have in Japan that I wished I was able to was to have onsen tamago. Now I tried to make it at home. It's not quite as easy. It's not very easy to do. I mean, the process is supposed to be easy, it's just that it doesn't end up right all the time. Every once in a while I'll get it right. But what onsen tamago is basically they used to take eggs, and when they went to the baths with them, they would take an egg and it would cook in the hot spring water. Well, after they're done their bathing, like 20-30 minutes, whatever, or an hour, they come back and the egg, it wouldn't convectorate, I guess is what they call, or the word is, and so you'd have a semi-hard outer thing that wasn't attached to the shell, and then you'd have a soft middle bit, the yolk. The yolk was mostly soft. And then this was used in various dishes, like I think they have like gyudon it was used in, and it was really good in. And gyudon is a kind of a sweet-ish beef dish with onions. It's made from very, very thin pieces of meat, so it doesn't need to cook for a super long time. Like a few seconds. You know, it's how thin it is. Depending on the heat of your pan, of course. I mean, if it's still a cold pan, a few seconds is going to be enough to cook it. But and you know, it's just barely done. Anyways, so they put an onsen tamago on that. Trying to remember some other dishes they had. That they use it for. But it's pretty versatile. I think that I would have also liked to had ajitama, which is aji means flavor, generally speaking, and tama means egg. So flavored egg, yeah. Sure you can figure that out. And I never got to have that while I was there, but I've kind of made it recently myself, based off some Japanese YouTubers. There's like Cooking with the Dog, and there's like Runny999? No, Runny999. Although he doesn't post as much as he used to. And Cooking with the Dog, after her dog, you know, kind of passed away, she's been posting a lot less. And she's also getting up there in age, so it may be kind of difficult for her to post. But I mean, they still have their videos up if you guys, you know, ever want to go check it out and see what they did there. You know, most definitely fun, kind of shortish videos, like 5 minutes. Some of them I think are up to 10 minutes, but not a lot of them. Man, I want some Japanese food now. I do. I really wish. I don't know. Japanese food's kind of expensive to get in the U.S. And I mean, unlike the Chinese food, although the Chinese food isn't, you know, I think some of it's like similar, but it's not real Chinese food. Oftentimes when I go for Chinese, I'll like differentiate between the two of them. Oh my god, how long have I been going here? No, doesn't matter. I'm gonna go to the next area, and then I'm gonna go ahead and sign off on this video. Anyways, the point is that I know the differences, and so I'm like, if I'm gonna have Chinese, I'm gonna tell specifically if I'm gonna have one or the other. If I'm gonna have actual Chinese, or if I'm gonna have American style Chinese. They're both good for different purposes. Oh, my mic turned. Oh. anyways, let's put in this point. Let's see. Since we have that now, we're gonna go get these life nodes and stuff. Alright guys. Well, remember to please like, comment, share, subscribe. Or don't, if you really didn't like the videos. You know, if you would, I much appreciated. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Later.